Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast. This is Dan. I'm here with Big Cass. Oh my God, Cass! That game, that national championship game, might have been the worst national championship game of all time. Um, I turned it off. I didn't see him hoist a trophy. I was just like, I don't even care. I like
I
just
turned it off when it was 5-7.
yeah. And I
So,
tried to make it interesting too because I was like, oh, when it was 24-7, I live bet TCU plus 30 and a half, which it was, up a couple of double digits at that point. And I live bet that line and it didn't even come close. They still lost by 30 above that. I've just never seen such a dominant performance. That's a performance you would expect from like Ohio State against like Toledo, or
yeah,
something like that, like an early season performance, not something like that.
it was awful. By the way, it was the worst viewed since the BCS era when they started taking rating views. It was the worst viewed national championship game of all time since 1998 when the BCS era started. So,
It's weird because too, people are saying TCU should have been there. Now, I think they're obviously the second. They were the second best team in the nation from the point as I guess they could have beat anyone besides Georgia. Like
right.
you gotta give them, I guess, the benefit of the doubt because Michigan took care of us and they took care of Michigan. So I would say this game might be just more of a fluke. I think this was just Georgia was so warmed up after playing Ohio State. That was the national title game. Basically it felt like, but I gotta give TCU their flowers. It was a good season for them. They're a really good team. I think if Ohio State and TCU played, it would be a much closer game than what Georgia did. Georgia was clearly the best team in the country. They went and earned it, but I think Ohio State versus TCU at the end of the day, if they matched up, it would be interesting and closer than what people expect.
Yeah, but I'm looking at it this way too. We're a missed 50-yard field goal away from being national champions. It's just because I think we would beat TCU handily, but not like
It would have
it
been like at the Oregon game, I
would
feel
have been
like.
like the way we beat Clemson 40 45 31 45 28 type of thing, 65-7. And there was a little bit of me that felt uneasy with videos of players getting wings from fans, during on the sidelines. That's just, a little goofiness right there. But
If that happened 2 years ago, oh my God, that would have been all over ESPN.
if it happened if Ohio State was winning 65-7, they would be all around shit and be all over, um, Ohio State. I mean, it is what it is. Georgia was a I mean, there was times where nobody really wants to take over and give them, they're giving them the flowers, giving them the confetti. They hosted the trophy. I mean, we turned the page. I mean, it really sucks. We turned the page to, you know, 2023. What could 2023 look like? We've already started to see players stay, see players, go. One in particular, we're still waiting, and they have till I think next Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, and there's been a couple surprises. We got to see. You know,
I was surprised today when Ohio State lost Luke Weipler. I thought he was a lock to come back. I did not expect that one, but I was. You got to take the good with the bad because then Matthew Jones is coming back, and there's rumors he might be playing some center, so that's an important position to have. So I think getting Matthew Jones, losing Weipler, it's not great because I would like to have Weipler too. I would have loved to have Weipler, Jones, and Jackson, nice interior. We're still getting two guys back. It's going to be okay, I think. A lot of opportunity on the offensive line for Ohio State. So that's that. Obviously, DeJuan Jones, Paris Johnson, they're gone.
Paris
Um,
Johnson was a no-brainer.
yeah,
He's probably going to be the first tackle. second,
deservingly so too.
first or second tackle. I
He
mean,
feels like one of the best tackle prospects in a while too, for some reason. I think when he gets this is my bold prediction, when Paris Johnson gets to the combine, I think he might be a top 3 pick when it's all said and done. When they start, when they actually measure him and everything, and like go through his like pro day, I think he might be a top 3 guy.
I don't think he was that far because they're going to be Jalen Carter, Will Anderson. I mean, looking at the mock, I'm looking at the current mock draft according to Yahoo Sports right here. And of course, they got Will Anderson going to Stroud to Jalen Carter 3 to the Cardinals. Will Levis to the Colts going 4. Miles Murphy, an edge rusher from Clemson, going 5 to the Seahawks. Bryce Young back on, and Paris Johnson going to the Raiders 7 over.
They have Paris Johnson going to the Bears. Interesting.
This is what I think. We're going to talk about this a little later. This is what I think the Bears should do. I think the Bears should move out of the first pick and get down a little bit further, maybe to a Detroit, or even the Colts pick at number 4 and take Paris Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, and then obviously build up picks, because if you have a strong line, they have the backs, and Fields is obviously a running quarterback, so you build up the line. I think they actually have some decent weapons between Herbert, Mooney when he's healthy, and then Cole Kmet. I mean, that's one decent young player at each position. Then you just got to fill it out with some later round picks. You need maybe like 2 more receivers, and a couple more linemen. And I think Fields has something going there.
Thing is, too, is they do have cap space. My brother's a Bears fan. They have cap space, but the problem is they don't have a second pick. They got that. Pittsburgh gets that for 33 overall because of the Clay trade, which Pittsburgh obviously won the trade because Clay has been dog shit.
Well. Let's say this, because like coming in mid-season and learning the whole playbook and stuff is tough sometimes. So let's evaluate him on next year. I think that's not fair to really evaluate him based on a new system just yet.
I mean, he wasn't that good at Pittsburgh either. So
He wasn't. He wasn't. I don't think he's a Pro Bowl or anything, but
no. But obviously, I think their number 1 priority. Try to move out of that pick. Don't do this bullshit stuff where we've been hearing that they may trade them, trade Justin Fields.
They need to do that though, and I want to point, and I like watch Fields like actually like it. Here's the thing: if Fields gets mad or puts out a statement that they like said something like about possibly trading him, it's all an act. Like he's in on it and they're in on it because they know they got to pretend that like there's a threat that they might trade out of it, or like they might trade him, because it's just better for negotiations,
Yeah. I think that, like I said, the Bears should try to trade out of that pick. And I think the Colts are going to be the team to do it because I think all eyes are on CJ Stroud. But we're still waiting on CJ Stroud to commit. So, I mean, obviously, before we get into that, guys who decide to stay, you said Matthew Jones decided to say he's going to stay. Mike Williams going to be staying.
Cade Stover.
We're still waiting on Tommy Eichenberg, but signs are leaning towards that he's going to probably stay because I don't think his draft stock is as good as what he thinks it should be. Of course, CJ Stroud. Waiting on CJ Stroud. There's a lot of talk. I'm going to say where are we from? There's a lot of talk. He's leaning on towards staying. That's very interesting to me.
Well, we were talking about this pre-show. It would make, in my opinion, it would have made more sense for Justin Fields to stay his senior year, not CJ Stroud. And basically, my logic was behind it. Like NIL was here for Fields. He didn't get the full chance via the COVID year. So his stock obviously fell. a little bit from the COVID year, and that's why like Zach Wilson and Trey Lance went before the guy, which is absolute joke,
Absurd. I
ridiculous.
mean,
So
Trevor Lawrence, yeah, you can make. He's got his team in the playoffs.
for here though, Stroud, I mean, he would be this. He would probably be the second or third overall pick, worst case scenario. So I feel like he's leaving a lot of money on the table. But if he returns, we kind of mentioned pre-show cast, NIL, like you're like, oh, he could make as much or just a little less than he would his rookie year. Well, maybe more because NIL isn't capped. So I'm just saying, if Buckeye Nation put out a GoFundMe, I think we could raise $20 million to get him back. Like, that would not shock me if,
And,
like, why can't we do that?
and I wish, and I think Stroud is also wanting, because the Saints, they want that 3 pick from Arizona. They want it.
Yeah.
Guess what? Arizona wants Sean Payton. So it's going to be one of those things too, where like, can we get Chris Olave, C.J. Stroud at 3 if we make this trade with Arizona? The issue is C.J. Stroud hasn't declared yet. I tend to think if C.J. Stroud declares, watch what New Orleans does to make that trade with Arizona to try to get that number 3 slot. But the thing is like I said, if you're C.J. Stroud, as of right now, there are 3 teams in that top era that need a quarterback: Carolina, Houston, and Indianapolis. 3 of the worst ran organizations in NFL. Why would
I
you?
wouldn't say Indy's like badly run for the most part. They've been good at times.
If he's not drinking the scotch, Jim Irsay. But they can't. They haven't been able to keep a quarterback since Andrew Luck. That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
I
Andrew Luck,
agree.
if you're C.J. Stroud, you definitely don't want to go to Houston or Carolina. Definitely not.
Weather-wise, it's not terrible though. But I agree.
Like organizations, they are terrible. Why would you go to the NFL where quarterbacks at Ohio State are already? You're from Ohio State. You're already being judged just because you're from Ohio State. Why would you want to go risk that Houston, Carolina, when you could stay at Ohio State, make as much or in the NIL, have all your skill players back, a chance to go and get a natty,
Well,
and get a
here
Heisman, get a Big Ten
I,
championship.
I agree. And you know what too?
He got to play like he did against Georgia every game.
So you gotta factor this into Cass. He has like CJ Stroud has all these crazy NIL deals right now with Ohio State from like the Express. I believe he has a headphone deal. He has like car deals and all this stuff. If he leaves Ohio State, that all kind of goes away. And obviously you could be going on to bigger and better, but like he's already a multimillionaire now. He doesn't have to really worry about money for the rest of his life. He's managing well. It's gonna be fine. He could stay and if they could bump, I mean, realistically, they got to give him probably like 6 million. Like he has to get 6 million from like Schottenstein. And then I know they raised like 4 million or whatever they said in like a couple weeks span. So I think they could swing it if they really put all the money at him. But like that's a good investment to bring back your quarterback for like your whole NIL fund. Like I feel like that's what this should be used for, because that's using it the right way too. You're not paying recruits. You're just paying to basically get a guy who's worked his butt off money, and he's going to be your captain and leader.
Think about this. 3 years ago, we're not talking about C.J. Stroud thinking about this.
No, we're not.
We're not. Like he's gone. Like regardless. I still think he's gone. Until C.J. Stroud himself says I'm staying, he's gone. Because I think they're worried about draft position. He can make as much money.
It's interesting. It's so staying in college, like I'll say this, staying in the college one more year, it's safer. I feel like, if that makes sense, it's less risk because your life's not going to change that much if you're a first round pick next year as opposed to this year. You're still going to make a ton of money. You're still going to be fine, but you obviously have a chance to build a legacy at Ohio State. Furthermore, if you go this year in the NFL and let's say you're just a bust, a total bust, and you only see like play like 2 or 3 years, you still get your whole rookie deal, but you don't get another contract. Let's say like what you could have made your senior year at Ohio State could have been more than what you ended up making. So it's like I feel like it makes sense for him to do it if he can
Yeah.
do it, and like the logistics are there. It makes
It,
total sense, but it just no one's done it yet, so it's like it's
yeah,
hard.
exactly. And if somebody does it, it's CJ Stroud, and then that's when you'll see a effect like this, like every year. I mean, you're going to see like, for instance, let's say, um, Drew State. He's going to be a true sophomore. Sure, he's going to be a starting state.
It would be the perfect move to the perfect move by the NIL team if they were able just what it would do for like the faith in the fans too. Like if you saw like if suddenly you got like let's say tomorrow weekend you get like a someone does like an ed like like a hype video and CJ Stroud announcing he's back and he's like signing a deal with like Cardale or like Schottenstein, and it's just like what it would do for like the foundation, like the just the press for that, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously it would be like revolutionary because Stroud's like one of the first people to do it. Like Stroud could be like the pioneer behind this if he
Yep.
does that, but
Exactly.
it's not going to happen. He's going to go be a Texan.
Or a Panther or a Colt.
Yeah.
But Godspeed that Saints decide to do this, move on with Sean Payton, trade him to the Arizona Cardinals, and draft CJ Stroud and get Michael Thomas, get uh, Chris Olave, and get whoever else their receivers are, a quarterback.
Yeah,
That's
they
all
have
it
a good.
is.
They have that's a great offense too. Taysom Hill,
I think he should be.
yeah.
The
Oh
Saints
wow,
could be so much better by just drafting a gunslinger quarterback. They would be so much better. Like a quarterback that has great vision, a quarterback that can just put the ball in any spot. I'm talking about CJ Stroud here. I think if they draft Bryce Young, they don't get the same effect. It's just my
hear
opinion.
hear me out. I feel like the guy you described was like Baker Mayfield. I feel like the Saints would be so much like based on the quarterback you just described. I'm like, oh, Baker Mayfield would sounds like a good fit.
No, no. I just, obviously, I'm a Bengals fan, and but I think the Saints, they'd be so much better by drafting a quarterback. They would have been so much better if they drafted Haskins and let Haskins learn behind. Rest his soul.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the question. I mean, is CJ Stroud going to go? I think he is. But the real question is, people forget that Kyle's Kyle McCord 5 star. So pretty pretty happy about it, regardless if CJ Stroud goes or not. I'm pretty happy we're at.
I am too. I wasn't really worried because I typed in, 2023, 2024, like top college quarterbacks, and Kyle McCord was already top seven at all the other teams. Like,
Yeah.
he was like the seventh best they had him ranked. So I mean, we're fine because there was teams up there who like UNC with Drake May. They're UNC's not a title contender. We're not going to see him. Um, there's some of the other guys they had up there. They like there were got the guys on teams that weren't title contenders, and like obviously Kyle McCord, like Jalen Milroe on Bama, he didn't look that great. He's obviously fast and has good legs and all that, like can scramble, but like I didn't think
He
he
may not
blew.
even be their guy next year. Like
I
that's the
know
thing.
he didn't really blow me away. He was on the list, so I think
JJ,
like
let me guess the top. Let me guess the top three. Um, JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix, Quinn Ewers,
yeah,
Drake May,
Drake May,
uh,
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams. Yeah. Drew Aller, I'm sure was probably on there. Maybe
Yeah, I mean, the only really good one, the one that really has a legitimate title shot is Caleb Williams. But even USC is flawed. Like all the guys on,
They kept Stretch. I mean,
yeah, all those guys were on stud blue blood teams for the most part. So I think we could be okay with Kyle McCord at 7. As if we have a top 10 quarterback next year, I think we do have a really good chance of winning the obviously the national championship, because I think the bulk of this team, besides the quarterback and the parts of the offensive line, it's absolutely loaded. Defensive line is the most loaded. I looked, by the way, same website. I looked on all the defensive line prospects for those years. Michael Hall, Jack Sawyer, JTT, and then Tyleek Williams was still top 15 or whatever. So
that's one thing we'd be happy about next year. We're going to see more Tyleek Williams play.
it's about time. And obviously, like Steel Chambers will be back. Hopefully, Tommy Eichenberg will be back. Secondary can't get much worse. So
I think Sonny Styles. Uh, I think Sonny Styles, Denzel. I think Denzel Brooks going to have a good year next year.
I
think
feel like Kai Stokes is going to play, I think, too.
Oh yeah, because Sonny Styles is going to be your bull. Kai Stokes is going to be the top. Is going to be your uh is going to be your Jordan Fuller, I think, type.
Yeah.
Maybe not Jordan. You know what I mean? Like again, I think Denzel Burke and I think Jair Brown are going to be our corners.
I mean, I really like Kai Stokes back there at safety though, because he's a guy I'm telling you would sure up the pass coverage. We would have so many picks. We would have 4 or 5 picks on the year. Like he would be a ball hawk back there, I think. We would sacrifice a little in the tackling, like the power, the muscle, but he would make some plays, I think. And then it gives you, like you said, yeah, you can move Styles down, which is nice. You want him kind of playing closer, obviously, and then obviously Denzel Burke will be the other corner. He's earned it. Could have been a better season, but he's obviously the one.
I think the second half of the season was.
No, I agree. The second half was much better for him. The first half was rough, and then obviously he gave up the touchdown against Georgia, but it wasn't. It was good coverage.
Then we got Lathan Ransom.
Yeah, it was good coverage and stuff. Well, yeah, and Ransom too. I guess he might
Jordan
be a
Hancock.
I mean, if Ransom stays or goes, that's a question.
Jordan Hancock will be back fully healthy finally.
Ransom, I mean, maybe see if he could play corner. I'd like to see him play a little like corner. I feel like he could be like a Denzel Burke if you trained him right. I feel like he has that body.
I think we'll be just fine. Just fine.
Yeah.
Just fine. You know who's not fine right now is we predicted this too. We commit prediction that's starting to come true. The January slump of the Ohio State men's basketball.
We're okay. No, and this is where we get a little bit life back into us, because we always have like Minnesota scheduled around this time, and this game is always a win. So tomorrow against Minnesota, like Minnesota's not even good. This is a win. Yeah, this is a win. Book it. I'm not even worried about this one. It's when we go play Rutgers on the weekend. That's a loss. That's where the slide continues.
Yeah. Ohio State women's basketball team keeps rolling. But yeah, like you said, Sunday when we play Rutgers at 2:15, and then we turn around and play Nebraska on the 18th next Wednesday. And then, wait, hold on, I just saw something here. It has nothing to do with the Buckeyes. I thought there was an upset.
I like to say though, the Bryce Sensabaugh like over in points, I'm pretty sure has hit every time this year no, I think it didn't hit against Duke. I think the Duke game's the only time I'm pretty sure the Bryce Sensabaugh over in points hasn't hit this year, and he's going off. I like Thornton too. I think Thornton.
Wow. 5 minutes ago, I got an alert that Alabama was within Arkansas was within 5 of Alabama, and I just checked the score. Alabama just won 82-69.
Yeah, Bama is very good in basketball now. They have a really good program.
Houston is losing 51-48.
I feel like Alabama's a team though that's going to win the SEC. Like they're going to win the SEC tournament and then they're going to lose in the second round. Like they're going to win their first game. They'll be like a 1 or 2 seed and then lose the next one in a huge upset.
We're we're getting to the January. We're in that January blues, and it's starting to. I just hope Zed. I think Zed Key being out is the big difference. We should have beat Maryland. I think we beat Maryland with Zed Key, and I think we beat Purdue if we had Zed Key.
We need Okpara to like step it up. He's
He's a
averaging 3.9 and 3.6. We're getting. I mean, he provides size, but we need more. We need more from our bigs.
yeah. It's hard. The Ohio State men's basketball team.
I need to play some Kalen Etzler. Let Kalen Etzler play a little bit. I don't care. I don't care how bad he is or however bad they say. There's
Yeah.
no way a guy 6'8", 190 shouldn't be playing when we have no other big men.
And by the way, I wish Big Game Boomer would stop tweeting.
Why? What did he do?
He just his
He
takes.
called he called Cincinnati our big brother in basketball.
That's
My
what I
God.
was trying to say. Like he has like when it comes to basketball, he has no like even in a lot of his football takes, he has no idea what he's talking about.
He does his research. Like we've had him on. I respect it. Like I know you don't agree with his opinions, but on sports, but like it's all right. You're funny, man. You're funny.
It just it, it
Oh,
seems so think talk about football. When he calls Ohio State is not disciplined for in some. That's where I said you don't watch the tape. It's not a physicality being toughness. It's the fact that they were schemed against Michigan because they just went toe to toe with the national champions. Rich Rossi's out there with a nice shiner on his eye, and you're sitting there calling him soft. He's out there still playing.
yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
That's where I get it. Like when people just who don't watch, they just look at the box score or they just glance.
So you thought, real quick, Cass, you thought we were out schemed against Michigan, but Georgia, we weren't.
I think Georgia, well, defensively we were out schemed. I was talking about against, you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
I think defensively against Georgia, we were thinking too much.
Yeah.
I think and Nathan Ransom being because if you look on the outside, Cam Brown, Denzel Burke didn't really give up anything on the outside. It was all the slot, even against Michigan, slot receivers. There's something about we don't have that slot. You remember in 2009, 2019. The problem is we didn't have those elite corners like we did with David Arnett, Jeff Okuda.
Well, we
That's
had Sean Wade in the slot.
exactly. Sean Wade was in the slot. Jeff Okuda and David Arnett were the elite corners. We had good safeties this year. We didn't have a good 3-man corners, and that's where the safety guarding a slot receiver is what killed us.
I mean, I wonder. I
And
wonder if I
against
wonder if they should shift almost. Hear me out in some packages. Maybe if you play the young corners, like you play Burke in your base defense. Let's say you play Burke in your base defense as an outside corner, but once they introduce like a slot or something, like let's say they're showing a slot and you want a guy in the slot, you move Burke to the slot and see how he matches up against those guys. Like I feel like they're playing to sides too much. I feel like they need to man up with certain players more. I think that's something that they should try,
give
Cass.
it too, like, get up. If you want to be aggressive, I think didn't want to be so aggressive. And it kind of burnt too. You needed to be aggressive, and you at times. And also, too, against Michigan, JJ McCarthy was taking like 12 step, 12-yard bootleg. People are like, "Oh, Ohio State's not getting pressure on the quarterback." If you watch Georgia, Michigan, every time they had a great successful play is when the ball was out of the pocket and they were legging and scrambling. That's where they beat us. We need we need that dog. I love Eichenberg and Steel Tramers. I wish we had that dog Darren Lee type of linebacker. Because quarterback is, that's what made Darren Lee so great. Is when those bootlegs and those scrambles, we don't have that. That's what we. I love Steel Chambers and Eichenberg, but where's that dog mentality that Darren Lee had?
So hear me out. I just feel like they're not. I feel like they're not fast twitch, if that makes sense. Like Darren Lee was a fast twitch player, if that makes
He
sense.
was his quarterback slash safety in high school.
He just played faster. I think is what we like. We loved about like players like that. Even like Jerome Baker, how fast and quick he was. That's kind of another example. Like not that Eichenberg isn't fast, not that Seal Chambers isn't fast, but it's for those guys.
They're fast downhill.
Yeah, those guys are fast backwards, sideways, and it was effortless, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. And that's where we're missing the Jerome Bakers and Darren Lee. That's the type of linebacker we need at Ohio State. And we haven't had it.
Because, like, I do agree. Like, for the most part, they've mastered running downhill, filling gaps.
And when we put pressure on the quarterback, people are like, well, D line's not finishing. When your quarterbacks are dropping back 10, 12 yards to roll out.
Next year, I'll say this though. Regardless, I think next year the linebackers are going to be absolutely nasty because obviously you have Steele, hopefully Eichenberg. That's a big hopefully.
Gabe Powers.
Gabe Powers, CJ Hicks,
hopefully he's
Cody
healthy.
Simon.
Is he still there?
Cody Simon is a good player. He's a very good backup too to have. I'll gladly take Cody Simon. I think a lot of these young pups are going to be ready to go too. So look out. I think our linebacker room and D line is going to be unreal. That's going to be the heart of our defense. And then just corners and safeties, just, don't do what we did the last couple of years.
Going back to Darren Lee, too, I remember him in high school. I always tell people that Joe Burrow is the greatest football player I've ever seen in high school. Darren Lee is the greatest athlete I've ever watched play high school football. Makes sense?
Why was that?
He played quarterback at New Albany and he played safety at New Albany. He was just like he was at Ohio State. He was all over the field. Like I think athletically, obviously, he's a lot better than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had that dog. Like, he was a quarterback. He didn't have to play defense.
Yeah.
He was that dude. Like he's not in the NFL. Like
it sounds like Devin Fuller. Like Devin Fuller was like that. He had to play quarterback and safety in New Jersey. And now it's Jordan Fuller's older brother who like went to UCLA, played receiver and stuff for them. And then he played for like the Falcons for like a year or two. But like that was Jordan Fuller's older brother. And he was like a player like that, like pretty good safety, unreal quarterback though. And then he got recruited to play receiver because someone could actually throw him the ball because no one on his team could do it.
talking talking about quarterbacks like that. Being a guy I was talking about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson probably is the greatest NFL businessman ever. Because if you think about when he was getting drafted, he never ran at the combine. He threw me, and he never ran at his pro day, and all he did was throw because he didn't want NFL scouts to say, "Hey, we're moving you to wide receiver." And I think he's not play Sunday against the Bengals in the playoffs. Ravens fans are saying he quit. He quit. Dude, the amount of Ravens put on him, if he's not 100%, he's just protecting himself. Like look what the Redskins did to RG3. That's where Lamar Jackson thinks mindset is. I don't think he's involved.
I feel I'm excited for the Bengals game this weekend. I'm not a fan, but I'm definitely supporting the Ohio team in the playoffs. I'm not appropriating your culture cast, but I am like cheering. I hope the Ohio team does do well. I'm excited. I feel bad what happened to the guard, Alex Kappa. That's annoying. That's frustrating for sure.
Yeah, he should be. They said he should be miss 1 or 2 games, which could be the whole playoffs. Could be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I it is tough, but I think Burrow and the Bengals, they I think they're prime and ready for another repeat because I think they're still feeling disrespected from the scenario crap.
I like
So
I think the Chargers are going to win big this weekend for some reason. Like my head's telling me take the Jaguars, but
well,
the chart
If Mike Williams does not play for the Chargers, it's going to be tough.
I
Which I
don't
got,
think so.
which I got the games up right now. You want to talk about?
Let's talk about them.
Okay, Saturday 4:30 kickoff. I got FanDuel up, becoming you know a stupid parlay because I was 2 yards shy of winning some money.
That was tough.
Seattle Seahawks got into the playoffs because of the Detroit Lions. They were 9.5 point dog against Broccoli and the San Francisco 49ers. 9.5 favorite. So I like the Niners in this, but it's a divisional game. I don't take Seattle. Take Seattle.
I mean, why wouldn't you not believe in Gino at this point? It's not that it's a divisional game. Um, San Francisco is a much better team, but like obviously no Purdy. I mean, not no Purdy. Debo's banged up. They have Debo, but he's a little banged up. Purdy, I feel like he could like had just implode. Like who knows? He might just implode because I feel like their whole offense is they really kind of just keep it. They throw it to Kittle a lot now these days. Like that's who Purdy targets. I feel like if Seattle can kind of key on Kittle, I think a little bit in key situations, stop the run, and Gino just has to play okay. And I think that is something where Gino could win his first playoff start.
Yeah, I like the Niners.
I'll go
Just
Seahawks.
just because it. Yeah, I don't as a surprise. I really do, and I think Gino himself another year. But I like this. I like the Niners. I really do. Saturday at 8:15, you have the Chargers headed to Jacksonville. Chargers are a 2.5 favorite team. I like the Chargers,
Same.
regardless. Even if Mike Williams doesn't play, but Jacksonville's a fun story. They have been really fun. I do like Trevor Lawrence and the way he plays. Still think they have enough offense against the Derwin James and Joey Bosa are back. Just I like the Chargers. Not big, but I like to cut the spread, but maybe by a touchdown.
I like the Chargers. It's nice to not hate Trevor Lawrence these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I'll say. That's all I gotta say about that. Like, it's just nice to watch him just do that and stuff, and not in college at Clemson. I mean, he didn't play great against the Titans. But they're in the playoffs. I think though it's a great run just to even get in the playoffs. They had to win so many of their last games, and so much stuff had to go their way. I think though this week, even though they spanked the Chargers the last time they played them, I think the Chargers will beat them. I think that was a fluke.
Yeah. Sunday at 1 o'clock. This is the largest spread point game. The Dolphins have no Tua. Give me the Bills to come. Just don't. The Dolphins don't have Tua. They don't even know who their starting quarterback's going to be this week. Bills are
What
going
if
to
Skylar
demolish them.
Thompson pulls off the upset?
It'd be funny.
It would be hilarious because I mean I will say this is his second start now, and he did play like the whole second half again in week 17. So he basically has played almost 2 full games recently. So I
Yeah.
think he is like warmed up. So it is a fair fight, if that makes sense. It's not like they're just bringing in like Joe Webb off the practice squad for the game, like the Vikings did. Like at least Skylar Thompson's got some
Yeah,
time under his belt the past couple games. He knows the offense. He just came off a win against the Jets, so like let's see what happens, I guess. But
abysmal win off the Jets, but it's a win in the NFL. But I think the Bills, they're going to be on a mission. I mean,
I feel like every time the Dolphins get to the playoffs, their quarterback gets hurt. Am I crazy?
it's,
Always, right?
it's always, it seems like Matt Moore started against the Steelers in 2016. If that does you anything.
It feels like yeah, it's history repeats itself, bro.
Yeah. All right. The Giants, 3-point dog at Minnesota. They literally just 2 weeks ago.
It was a good game too.
Good game too. Should be a decent one. 4 o'clock, 4:30. I think the Vikes. I really like the Vikings, and it's not prime time, so you're not going to see prime time for Cousins. I just Vikings.
I'm gonna go Giants here. Just because I watched that whole game and like because I was back in in New Jersey for that. I watched that whole game. Giants look legit. They rise to the occasion and they've played well against the NFC North this year. I'm trying to think. They didn't beat the Vikings, but they beat the Packers, the Lions, um,
Obviously, the Bears.
and the Bears. Yeah. So
By the way, the last time they were a wild card team, like a wild card team on the road, they went to the Super Bowl in 2012.
actually, correction. I don't think the Lions beat them. So they're 2-2. Correction. I corrected myself.
Yeah, they don't. They last time they were the wild card team. They to the Super
I will,
2012.
but the Giants did look good. I think the secondary, I think that defense is going to come to play. They played pretty good against the Vikings, but Jefferson like won the day at the end. The secondary against the Eagles, I felt like they kept the majority of their starters out there against the Eagles to get reps, and they were clicking against the Eagles for the most part. So if the secondary can play and they can get a pass rush, the Giants have a very good chance to win that game.
8:15 Sunday night. AFC North battle. Bengals host the Ravens. Sound like Jackson's not going to play. Tyler Huntley did not throw at practice today. Edwards did not practice. They do get J.K. Dobbins and Andrews back. Those are 8.5-point favorites. I like the cover. The
Same.
under is 40.5. Just don't think there's enough defense for the Baltimore Ravens because Bengals have an underrated defense.
The Bengals win this game if Lamar or Tyler Huntley don't even play. Like it's not even they're gonna win easily.
I think either with some of them they win the game. So
I mean, we just saw it happen last week too, and it wasn't close, and it's not going to be closer if they don't even have Huntley.
my upset pick of the week, and yeah, I know Dallas is a 2.5-point favorite at Tampa. You're talking about Tom Brady in the playoffs against a team that he has never lost to. Dak Prescott has looked awful. Give me the Buccaneers.
I highly disagree with this. Everyone's talking about how Tom Brady's never lost to the Cowboys. Well, there's a first time for everything. This will be the time. Cass, I'm not saying that Tom Brady's better than Dak, or or that Dak isn't good. Like I'm not saying like obviously Tom Brady's better than Dak. What I am saying is though, the Cowboys as a whole are much better than the Buccaneers this year, and it's not even close. The entire rest of the roster is so much better than the Buccaneers roster. The Buccaneers roster is old. I think the Cowboys have a better defense. They have, CeeDee Lamb is a better number one receiver than both the guys they got right now. I think obviously Evans is aging. He had that one good game. The Dallas running back situation, offensive line is much better than Tampa Bay. Like every position but quarterback, I feel like Dallas has a big advantage for the most part. I'll give Tampa Bay advantage, I guess, at receiver depth, but that's really it.
Yeah, I just the way that the Cowboys are playing. Just I don't like the Cowboys are. By the way, what's your Super Bowl pick? Who's in the Super Bowl?
I'm gonna go. Ooh, you put me on the spot. I was originally saying the Ravens, but this was weeks ago when Lamar was healthy. So, geez, man, you're really putting me on the spot here. Geez, this is tough. Cowboys. I'm gonna say the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. It'll be the Cowboys versus AFC. Oh my goodness. Cowboys versus Bills.
Do you even want to ask who I think is going to be in the Super Bowl?
I think you're gonna say the Ravens.
Bengals, obviously. Vikings. I don't know why. I like the Vikings. Don't ask me why. Don't ask
I
me why.
I would love that Super Bowl because that means a new team's winning a title.
Someone also said Bills Vikings because somebody's got to win. They're both 0 and 4.
That I mean, I would love that too. Like I want if it's gonna be a Super Bowl, honestly, I like those Super Bowls where it's two teams that like have never won it playing for one. Cause then that game's gonna be an instant classic. I feel like both teams are gonna have like a great game. That's usually how it goes. One team gets heartbroken, the other team finally like gets over the hump.
Last year, the Rams had only one Super Bowl. It's not
Yes,
Arizona. I've seen 3 teams in a row.
yes, they did.
So. But yeah, I think Vikings. I think Vikings Bengals. But if I had to go to second choice, I'm going Bills. Bills 49ers.
I like it. I stick with mine. Cowboys, Bills.
And if you had a second choice,
If I had a second choice, I would say the Chiefs. Chiefs versus Eagles.
I feel like the Eagles are going to implode.
I feel like Eagles Chiefs is very feasible.
It is.
And I know I took the 2-1 seeds, but like it just makes sense.
Yeah. So it'd be fun Super Bowl. My brothers got a whole Super Bowl team. Foods. My niece made a chocolate. She's going to cross them out as they go. Famous foods for each league. Got some people rooting for the Bills to get those wings, and the Eagles to get the Philly cheesesteaks. So
It's funny how you guys have to root for that as if you're not gonna try to just order that to that same day. Like I would still get wings and that stuff.
it's just a tradition that we started a few years ago. We love
Mhm.
it. Like my brother's girlfriend, she's like, I love the Super Bowl just because get to be. It's pretty.
I love that. But I mean, that's all I got, Cass.
That's all I got to.
So, as always, thank you for listening to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast. Hopefully, some guys stay, some guys, opt into the season next year. But as always, go Bucks.
Go Bucks.